Hello, world. Welcome to episode 50 of the Jimmy Canz Show. Classic Supercard retrospective time. We haven't done one of these in a while, so this time around, we will be discussing the 1989 Royal Rumble. All right. Um, 89 Rumble was a WWF event held January 15th, 1989, from the Summit in Houston, Texas. Attendance was about 19,000 people. It was broadcast live on pay per view and later released on home video by Coliseum Video. Action was called by Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse the Body Ventura. Only one title match on this card. It was for the WWF Ladies Championship, and this would actually mark the last time this iteration of a women's championship was defended on a broadcasted show. A live broadcasted show, I should say. So we'll discuss that a little bit down the road. So the opening contest was a 6-man tag match, 2 out of 3 falls. The combatants in this one were the team of Dino Bravo, who was accompanied by Frenchie Martin, and the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Raymond and Jacques Rougeau, with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, in their corner. And they took on the team of Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Hart Foundation, comprised of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart. So fall 1 goes to the team of Canadians after the Rougeaus hit their finisher, Bombe de Rougeau, on the Hitman. The Foundation and Duggan even things up as they take the second fall off of a slingshot splash and elbow drop kind of combo. And the final fall is the result of a distracted official and Duggan using his 2x4 on Bravo, allowing Hart to get the final and deciding 3. So your winners, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Hart Foundation. I mean, this is, not unusual for Duggan, but I mean, this is really, when you really go back and look at it, 80s booking, this was weird 80s booking for a babyface. A babyface using the foreign object, doing kind of the heel maneuver to get the W for his team. But it is what it is, and the crowd was happy. So next up is the ladies' title match that I referenced before. Champion Rockin' Robin defending against Judy Martin. Nothing really of note in this match, and nothing really stood out. There's not a lot to discuss. Rockin' Robin retains via diving cross body. There's not really any major high spots in this match. I misspoke a little bit. I got a little confused. I thought there was going to be one other televised event with the women's championship in this iteration. There wasn't. It's pretty clear at this point, in the history of the company, that Vince is kind of way down on the women's division. There really aren't a lot of high-profile women in the division. I mean, let's be quite honest, Robin, I think, just kind of is getting this shot just because of her family bloodline, being the daughter of Grizzly Smith and the sister of Jake Roberts. She was not very strong in the ring at all. I mean, the strongest person that they had in that division was Sherry Martel, but, there was nobody for her to work with. So they did what they had to do, kind of thing. They moved her into kind of the mouthpiece and a managerial role. But it was what it was. And, shortly after this, the women's championship just kind of fades away and disappears for a few years. So, about the mid 90s is when they finally kind of reactivate a women's championship after they signed Deborah Messling, aka Medusa, aka Alundra Blaze. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Let's go on with the card. So the third segment, let's call it, on the show wasn't a match, and it was the superposed down between Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, and Ravishing Rick Rude, who had Bobby the Brain Heenan with him. Um, this segment had to be the brainchild of Vince. As it was nothing more than kind of a bodybuilding contest in the middle of a wrestling show. And probably had what eventually, seeing this as probably kind of the brainchild, the spark, I guess I want to say, that led Vince to wanting to start the WBF. I could take my theatricality of wrestling and bring it to the world of bodybuilding. And obviously, we all know that didn't work out, but I think this was kind of where it germinated. Anyway, the segment was judged by the fans' reaction. No shock. Fans just cheered Warrior and booed Rude. I mean, when you bill one person as a good guy, one person as a bad guy, and let the fans decide, it's not going to be, who really has the better physique. Warrior was more jacked overall. Rude had better abdominals, but that's about it. Rude had this exercise bar that he kept using between all of his poses. And it comes into play as he eventually used that exercise bar to attack the Warrior. It was, when it was clear that he was going to lose. And, all this segment really was done to fill some time and help set up the title match between the two individuals for WrestleMania 5. So, which it did. So it accomplished its purpose. After that, we got the battle for the crown. Match between King Haku with Bobby the Brain Heenan versus the former King Harley Race, who technically also, had Bobby the Brain Heenan. But it was clear during this match that Heenan was favoring Haku over Race. He was going with the younger talent. Let's be honest, Harley's best years are well behind him at this point. So anyway, the hook here in this match is that the King of the Ring crown is on the line. Race turned the crown over to Haku when he was injured, thinking that once he returned and was healthy, that he would get it back, and that didn't happen. And then all this, kind of came to fruition. And, Haku, wins this one pretty decisively with a thrust kick for the 3. And this is pretty much the last that we see of Harley in the Fed. Shortly after this, he returns down south, goes to WCW, and just manages. So this is pretty much his swan song. So that was it for our preliminary matches and everything. So now, last but not least, we get the Rumble match itself. And the Fink goes over the rules, as he always does before a Royal Rumble match. At this point, though, it makes sense. It's still a fairly new concept. They've only done one of these prior. This is the first pay-per-view version. After he goes over the rules, he says, now the individual that drew number 1. And Demolition's music hits, and out comes half of the WWF World Tag Team Champions X. And everyone's a buzz. And it's like, who's it going to be next? And he goes, then the individual that drew number 2. And Demolition's music hits again, and out comes the other half of the Tag Team Champions, Smash. Great moment. Absolutely great moment. We very rarely see face versus face in this era of, wrestling, not to mention partner versus partner. And due to the way they were portrayed, both X and Smash, they hold nothing back. And they just start battering each other. And a crowd just explodes. So, and this is not a, dissemination of a team. This is just, hey, this match says it's every man for himself. I'm going to go at you, and I'm going to go with you. And boom, they do. But once, the buzzer goes off and the third participant, makes their way down, then axe and smash, turn their attention to double team that individual who happens to be Andre the Giant. So, and you got, both a demolition taken on Andre. This goes on for a while until number 4 hits. Out comes Mr. Perfect. And before number 5 even hits the ring, Smash is eliminated. 5th entrant is Rugged Ronnie Garvin. Then number 6 is Greg the Hammer Valentine. Garvin. Let's see where we're at here. Looking at my notes. Garvin is then eliminated by the 7th entrant, who was Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake doesn't last long in this match, as he is choked and eliminated almost immediately by Andre. He's kind of, a blink of the eye and you miss Jake here. Number 8 comes out next. It's Outlaw Ron Bass. 9 is then one half of the Rocker, Shawn Michaels. And before 10 even, makes it out, Axe is eliminated. So now both members of Demolition, our 1 and 2 entrants, are gone. Number 10 is Cousin Butch from the Bushwhackers. And after he hits the ring, at this point, Jake comes back out with Damien in tow. He tosses Damien into the ring, and Andre takes the proverbial powder, eliminating himself and getting out of dodge. Jake grabs Damien and heads to the back in pursuit of Andre. So this is all done, to set up their contest for Mania 5. So Tito Santana is in at number 11, followed by the Honky Tonk Man at number 12, 2 former Intercontinental champions there. Bad News Brown is out at the unlucky number 13 spot. And this had to be planned to have Bad News be 13. Bad news, bad luck, hey, just whatever. Anyway, Honk is eliminated, and then the other half of the Rockers, Marty Jannetty, comes out at 14. Bass is then eliminated before number 15 makes it out, and number 15 is none other than the WWF champion, Randy Macho Man Savage. Comes in like a house of fire, as you would expect. Number 16 is one half of the Brainbusters, Double A, Arn Anderson, Enforcer himself. 2 eliminations before the next entrant comes out, as both Valentine is eliminated and then Shawn Michaels. So number 17 is the other half of the Brainbusters, Tully Blanchard. Jannetty is eliminated next. Then number 18 is the other half of the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan. Perfect and Santana are both eliminated before our next entrant, Cousin Luke, enters at 19. Perfect has set the new longevity record at this point for a Rumble match at 27 minutes and 58 seconds. Butch is eliminated, and then Coco Beware comes out at number 20. And Coco doesn't last very long. He's eliminated, as is Luke, before the next entrant comes down at 21. It's one half of the Powers of Pain, the Warlord. But before he even gets into the ring, the Brainbusters are eliminated. So, the buzzer goes off, Warlord starts making his way down, and then the Busters get eliminated. And the Warlord has his dubious Rumble moment where he is eliminated by Hogan with a clothesline as soon as he pretty much steps into the ring, lasting a mere 2 seconds. Hogan then goes to help Savage with bad news. They're brawling, teetering on the ropes. But in the process of, he ends up dumping out both men. So Savage, typical Randy Savage, is hot, and he gets back in and gets in Hogan's face. And he's screaming, and he's, doing his Randy Savage thing. And Liz comes out to try and smooth things over, and both men shake hands. But again, it's another moment. The plot for the Mega Powers thickens. 22 is the big boss man, and he is followed at number 23 by the other half of his Twin Towers tag team, the African Dream Akeem, and both men double team the Hulkster, and end up eliminating Hogan. The Beefer, Brutus Barber Beefcake, is out next to 24, and Hogan, even though he is eliminated, stays ringside. He ends up, pulling down the ropes, causing the boss man to spill over the top to the floor. Rooster comes out at 25, followed by the other half of the Powers of Pain, the Barbarian, at 26. Before I go further, I just want to touch. This is weird booking again. If you look at this kind of in a bubble and not with the mythos and the story and everything that they've built around him, Hogan's actions are not that of a babyface. All right, dumps his best friend. Then oh, I didn't mean a brother. And then after he's legitimately eliminated, it's the Rumble match. Like, they double team, they tossed you out. They didn't do anything nefarious, within the constructs of the match. You were cleanly eliminated, and you pull the jerk move, and you stay down there, and you're pulling people out. You know what I mean? It's like he's not acting like a babyface, especially in this era. He's acting like a jerk, to be quite honest. And it's all to do with the marketing and the story and the structure and everything that they've built around him. The people are still cheering him, to be honest with you, I think. And I think, that's, we'll get into this down the road, but I think that's why things soured on Hogan after a while. I think people, as people started to, started watching wrestling young, started to grow and mature, and they started to see, like, that's really a jerk. He's not, he says one thing and he does another. And I think that's, why, the things kind of soured on him, and, he did the right thing in the 90s when he flipped heel. It was the right time, and it was the right move. But anyway, let's finish up the Rumble here. Big John Studd is now back in the Fed and is number 27, followed by Hercules at 28, Rick Martel at 29, and finally the number 30th entrant is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. So all of our combatants are in now. Rooster is eliminated, followed by Beefcake and then Herc. Barbarian goes out next, and we have our final four, which are Akeem, Studd, Martel, and DiBiase. No shock that Martel goes out next, making it one babyface against two heels left. This is classic WWF storytelling. Studd ends up eliminating both Akeem and then DiBiase to win the Rumble. And I think going into this event, nobody would have picked Big John Studd. But there you have it. So that was the Rumble. So this year's key numbers, longest, as I stated earlier, was Mr. Perfect, 27:58. Shortest, as again I stated earlier, was Warlord at a mere 2 seconds. Most eliminations was Hogan, who was credited with 10 eliminations. Although to credit him with Boss Man's elimination is a stretch. He was already out. Like I said, it was just, weird. And to reiterate, I just said the final four were Keem, Stud, Martel, and DiBiase. So all in all, it was a pretty solid show. Six man was a solid match, odd finish. Women's title, ladies title, wasn't that great. Like I said, there wasn't really a lot to talk about, and there wasn't really a lot of reason to have a division at this point in the history of Fed, and that's why it kind of just disappears. This match is a real good indication why. The pose down was what it was, but it did what it was intended to do, as I said, which set up their title match for Mania in a few months. The battle for the crown, I think it was there to kind of establish Haku as, a legitimate competitor at this point. Like I said, Harley's past his prime. This was kind of his swan song. Rumble itself, did a lot of different things. It set up, Andre and Jake, as well as for the Mega Power story arc. So, it was a pretty solid show. On my 10 belt scale, I will give the 1989 Royal Rumble 7 out of 10 belts. So, my next classic retrospective will be WCW's Clash of the Champions 5, St. Valentine's Massacre. We've also got TLC predictions with me and Rodney coming up later this month. We will try our best to do a College Bowl special as well before the end of the month. Where we pick who we think are going to win the various bowl games. So if you're into college football, please tune in, give that a watch. So it's the holiday season. It's a weird year. I still hope that wherever you are all doing well. Be good and take care of one another. And I will see you when I see you.